keep hearing, I'm supposed to get a mammogram. And I'm like, I've heard people say mammogram, I've heard people say thermogram. And it's just kind of been on my mind and in my heart to like figure this out, do some more research. So I was walking out, and I actually had a lady come talk to me, and it was just a God thing where we ended up in the same space. And it turned out to be perfect. And I said, what does your husband do? And she mentioned thermography. And I was like, I think God put you here for me. And so we went over and we talked. And in that 5 minutes, I learned more than I have understood in a long time. So I brought him here to you, and we're going to ask a question and talk a little bit, and then we might go a little bit deeper. So tune in and let's see what happens. Hey, Howard.
Hey, how are you, Olivia?
Good. It's good to meet you. See you again. Thank you
Yeah,
for
really.
being here. Okay, so Howard is amazing. He is a certified level 3 infrared thermographer, which is the highest level possible. He's a certified clinical thermographer and an advanced thermographer. And he's based in upstate New York, where he has a thermography clinic that helps people, Northeast Thermography in upstate New York. So he's going to help us understand. So a question a lot of people have, I know it was mine. What is thermography, and how is that different from a mammogram? What's thermogram versus mammogram? Can you give us some insight?
I think that's a fair question. I get it all the time. And Olivia, it's a pleasure being here. It was great meeting you, and I agree absolutely. It was a God thing. Don't believe in coincidences. He puts people in our path that we need to connect with. So I'm grateful for that, and thank you for the opportunity. Um, Thermography and mammography. Mammography uses ionizing radiation to evaluate the structure of the breast tissue itself. Now, mammography is a structural imaging, as is ultrasound. I'm sure you've probably heard of ultrasound. Excuse me. MRIs, CT scans, those are all imaging modalities that look at the structure. They're anatomical. Whereas thermography is really a test of physiology. A mammogram, again, uses ionizing radiation to look for anomalies within the breast tissue itself that may be indicative of abnormal cell growth. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thermography, thermography maps the heat patterns of the body, and we're able to see inflammation. Now, what is inflammation? Well, inflammation is increased blood flow. So when thermography, to start off with, is 100% safe, it's non-invasive, there's no contact, there's no radiation, no energy is imparted to the clients. In fact, human beings are heat radiating bodies. And the cameras that we use in thermography is actually a camera that's designed to see heat. So when you use thermography to evaluate breast health, what we're really looking for is we're looking for the heat patterns that are associated with a metabolic process, increased blood flow. So the question is, all right, when does the body send increased blood flow? Well, the body will send increased blood flow if it's healing, if it's fighting an infection, or if it's feeding something that's growing. Now, and again, it's 100% safe. And so you could literally have a thermal study done every day the rest of your life. There's no risk, there's no side effect, there's no harm. It's wonderful. So, when you think about it, anything that grows is a doubling process, right? You remember from basic biology, one cell becomes two, two becomes four, four becomes eight, etc. Well, when we talk about breast health and abnormal cell growth in the breast, and I'm very, very careful to use the word cancer because thermography cannot tell you if you have cancer. What it can do is say there's a thermal pattern here that is indicative of increased blood flow or inflammation. Right? But when we talk about a cancer, a tumor in the breast, that doubling process typically is 90 days. Now, that's not every cancer. There's some very fast growing, some very aggressive cancers, but generally, by the time there's enough cells that can be seen with a structural imaging, like a mammogram or an ultrasound, okay? Whatever it is that's growing has been growing for 8 to 10 years undetected. Thermography, because it doesn't matter the size, the shape, the density of the breast, we are looking at the thermal patterns that indicate that increased blood flow, and we can see those patterns up to 5 years before there's enough cells to be detected by a mammogram.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So give me the short answer on this one, but I'm sure we'll go into it some more later. But does thermogram replace mammogram?
No, it doesn't, and I'll tell you why. They're different. It's an apples to oranges comparison. A mammogram is a structural assessment of the breast tissue. A thermogram is a test of physiology. So when we do a thermal study, what we're doing is we are actually seeing the effects of physiological processes as revealed by the thermal patterns of skin. Whereas a mammogram is strictly, they're looking for something that within the tissue itself that indicates abnormal cell growth. Thermography is a different type of modality. But what I will say is this: when the FDA approved thermography in 1982, they approved it as an adjunct to, not a replacement for, mammography or any other anatomical imaging modality. That's a full quote. So what most of our clients will do is they will use thermography as their primary breast health assessment. And they will supplement that with a structural imaging like ultrasound. We believe that you need to use the least invasive process to get the information you need. And I don't know if you've heard the term dense breast tissue, but approximately 40% of all women have dense breast tissue, especially for younger women. Women who are in their 30s or 40s will tend to have dense breast tissue. And the reason that's a problem is because the way the breast tissue shows up on an X-ray, it's approximately the same density as an abnormal cell growth. So it becomes very, very difficult to identify that very, very small thing, because what you're really looking for, you're looking for something on an X-ray that's about this between the size of a pen tip and the top of the pen. And when there is and we'll do this if we do our training, if we do what we talked about, I'll actually show you examples of what dense breast tissue looks like on a mammogram, so you can see for yourself, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and you don't want to hear me talk for 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So, but it's not a replacement; it's an adjunct. So they'll use thermography as the primary, and then every 2 to 3 years they'll do an ultrasound, which is a well-accepted standard of care for breast health.
So ultrasound would switch for mammogram.
We recommend using that because ultrasound can be used by women who have dense breast tissue, as well as women who do not have dense breast tissue, have what they call fatty breast tissue. So it's a much safer way of getting to the same result. And this way, when you use both thermography, which is a test of physiology, and ultrasound for breast health assessment, you have the most complete picture that you can get.
Okay, awesome. See, as you guys can tell, he has a wealth of knowledge, and I just learned so much whenever we talk. So, what I asked him to do was to come and to help us, not just me, but all of my friends who are in my stage of life. And maybe those of you who might be older who have been like, I've been doing this for years and I don't understand, but I kind of am curious because I keep hearing these words go around. Or those who are like, hey, I'm not even 40 yet, but I know it's coming and I'd like to know what I'm doing and not feel lost there. So what he's going to do, we're going to actually come together and we're going to do a live Zoom class where you guys can come, you can ask your questions, you can be there live in the room. He'll go through a little presentation, tell us some more. Some of the questions that I wrote down that I've got for him so far, sneak peek for you. What is the difference between thermogram, mammogram, ultrasound, and MRI? And like, what's the usage for each one? Why would I pick this one over this one? Do I need both of them? Do I need a mammogram and an ultrasound? Or could I just use the ultrasound instead of the mammogram? Do I need a mammogram once, the first time I ever get one, just to know what happened the last 40 years of my life? And then I need everything else. So we're going to ask and we're going to dive into these questions, talk about safety, any kind of concerns, any live questions that you guys might have. So I'm really excited for that. Can you give us a sneak peek, maybe what you know about what you're going to share that I don't know?
Well, what I will tell you is this, is that thermography is used not only for women's breast health, but literally when you do a baseline study, we find out information about all the body's major systems and organs, dental issues, cardiovascular issues, stroke risk, thyroid and endocrine or hormonal imbalances, digestive issues, musculoskeletal. So it's a marvelous tool, and we'll get into a little bit of that. And I'll show you some images of what we see and things that we don't want to see. But there's more. Thermography is for more than just breast health.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I'm really excited to hear all the things he's going to teach us. So for those of you who want to join us, we're going to be doing this October 11th at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So I will put this video, I'll create a page and I'll give you guys a link where you can join, and we'll be able to send you reminders and make sure you can show up live, get all your questions answered, and then we'll have the replay for anyone who wasn't able to make it live. So thank you for being here and getting a little sneak peek and a little bit more, hopefully, understanding about mammogram versus thermogram. And we look forward to seeing you on October the 11th. Thank you, Howard.
You're most welcome.
Okay, have a great day.
Take care.